But you're not suggesting somebody that uses marijuana is still going to be impaired 30 days later when they
no, I don't know. No, I'm not suggesting that, but my point is we don't know, and one of the things we have a duty to create an environment, a work environment that's safe for all our employees, and if we have people in there that have used marijuana, that creates a problem for us, regardless of what the time frame is. We don't and we don't know at this point where that level of impairment is. So
that was Rodney Pol Jr., a state senator for Indiana's 4th District, in a public committee hearing discussing a proposal to legalize cannabis in Indiana and how it's used by the workforce. Representative Rodney asked the speaker if he was suggesting that workers are still high after 30 days of using marijuana, and the guy says, "I don't know." This is the opposition to cannabis in Indiana.
So we have to take the stance at this point that it's got to be not in the system at all.
Confusing marijuana being in your system for 30 days with being intoxicated by it for the same amount of time. The speaker then goes on to say that he has a duty to keep people safe from the unknown impairment marijuana causes to users. Except experts have already conducted the research on how cannabis impacts the body, and while I agree that it's not wise to show up to work blasted, marijuana is one of the least lethal or dangerous drugs a person can use. The reason why this guy sounds so stupid, other than him being wrong about everything he just said about marijuana, is because he's trying to cast the knowledge of the use of marijuana into the unknown when we already have the answers. Indiana is one of 11 states that still hasn't fully or partially legalized marijuana, meaning 39 other states have seen the research and said, let's get high. Joking, but you get the point. We already know that alcohol, a widely cultural and recreational drug, is more dangerous, yet we're not having committee hearings on whether we should test employees if they're coming into work drunk.
So, I mean, I'm sure you're aware there are a number of veterans groups or a number of employment groups that they have looked at the potential benefits of legalized marijuana as opposed to some of the pharmaceuticals that they end up getting on, and their ability to just sleep at night. I mean, are you suggesting, well, we shouldn't really address this because to me it seems like the byproduct of this is, well, then these individuals cannot enter the workforce, and the whole idea against this against legalization, it simply comes down to, well, we can't just figure this one simple problem out.
Senator Rodney is exactly right. There are a number of veteran groups that say they can benefit from using cannabis, and while there are still studies coming out about its effectiveness, groups like the Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America say that they can uniquely benefit from it. Unfortunately, the bill never made it out of the Indiana Health Committee, continuing the fight to legalize in the state, which is disappointing, especially with how the Biden administration is shifting its stance on marijuana. If you all remember, earlier this month, Biden announced that he would mass pardon anyone convicted with federal possession of marijuana, asked states' governors to follow his lead, and would consider changing the classification of it. Many organizations and critics rightly called Biden out on how little it actually does, and I agree. Since Biden took office in 2020, he's been promising to legalize cannabis nationwide, and now that the midterm elections are right around the corner, he's dropping crumbs to his base. We can demand more because we deserve more. I don't just want Biden to consider changing the classification. I want him to actually change it before we hit the polls, because we have no insurance on whether he does it or can't do it if Democrats don't win out in November. Biden has the power to compel states to legalize and free so many convicted people from marijuana use and possession. Just freaking do it. Why wait anymore? Does he realize that if more people can be pardoned for marijuana convictions, more people can get their power to vote restored? Legalizing marijuana is a voting rights issue just as it is a criminal justice issue. So let's continue to push Biden to make good on his promises. This is Rebel HQ. Like the video and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.